Okay, well, as you know, this is the unit that we're going to talk about, sketching and analyzing circle graphs, and our new vocabulary is circle graph, which just means we're talking about a graph that is done inside a circle. You've seen these types of graphs before. Here's our TEK, and the key we're going to be looking at is 6.3c, sketch circle graphs to display data. All right, let's begin by looking at our first example. Entertainment. The table shows how many hours a group of teenagers spent playing video games in 1 week. Sketch a circle graph to display the data. Remember to label each section of the graph and give the graph a title. Write a fraction to represent each percent. Okay, so 35%, it's written out as 35 over 100. Simplified is 7/20. 1 to 2 hours is 10% of the time. 10%, it's written as 10 over 100 or 1/10 simplified. Then we look at for 2 to 3 hours, it was 25%. 25% is written as 25 over 100. Simplified, it is 1/4. And then 3 or more hours was 30% of the time. 30% is written as 30 over 100, or simplified it would be 3/10. Okay, so our objective is to learn how to sketch circle graphs. It says to use a compass to draw a circle with at least a 1-inch radius. You can actually take anything at home that has a circular shape and use it. It could be a cup from the kitchen or a saucer or a lid or a jar, anything that is circular. Okay? Since 10% is equal to 1/10, mark 1/10 of the circle for 1 to 2 hours. I'm going to read through this, and then in a minute we'll go and look at it actually done so that you can make your circle graph look like the one with all the filled in percents. Remember that since 30% is written as 3/10, we'll mark a section 3 times as big as the section for 1 to 2 hours, because 1 to 2 hours was 1/10. Well, we're going to be doing 3/10, and we know it's 3 times as much as that. Since 25% is equal to 1/4, we'll mark 1/4 of the circle for 2 to 3 hours. The remaining portion of the circle should be 35%, which is 7 out of 20th. Okay, let's look at this graph that illustrates the problem we had in the page before this one. Time spent playing video games. Please notice that they put a title to their graph. They also put the percent that pertains to each section of the graph, and they put what that percent represented, like 0 to 1 hours, 1 to 2 hours, 2 to 3 hours, and 3 or more hours. Okay? Once you've done this, you'll understand that all of these will add up to be 100%. Okay, take this table that shows students' choices for favorite sports and sketch a circle graph to display this data correctly. Remember to give it a title, to put the percents by each section of the graph, and what that percent pertains to. Now that we know the components of a circle graph, let's go ahead and look at them or analyze these circle graphs. Transportation. The circle graph shows which method of transportation students use to get to Martin Luther King Jr. Middle School. Which method of transportation do most students use? Well, the easiest way to figure this out is look at the section that is the largest, and that's going to be the most. The largest section is this section right here. It also says 36%. Take the bus. So this method is the one that students use the most. Okay, let's check your progress. Ice cream. The circle graph shows which flavor of ice cream students consider their favorite. Which flavor of ice cream is considered the favorite by most students? You are looking at this graph, and you're trying to figure out your answer, and here are your answer choices. All right, let's analyze this circle graph about transportation. The circle graph shows which method of transportation students use to get to Martin Luther King Jr. Middle School. Which two methods of transportation are used by the least number of students? And we're looking for two methods. So, the way to find this is look for your two smallest numbers or the two smallest sections. We've got one section here, and we've got one small section here. Those are also our smallest numbers. So we've got walking and riding a moped. And so walking and riding a moped are the two methods that are the least used by students. Okay, here's one for you to check your progress. Ice cream. The circle graph shows which flavor of ice cream students consider their favorite. Which two flavors are the least favorite among these students? You're looking for the least. Make sure you interpret this graph correctly. Make sure you have your answer in your homework spiral. Once you have your answer, make sure you have it in your spiral. Bring it to class, and I'll see you tomorrow.